everybody, this is your girl Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Being Mary Jane Season 4, Episode 3, which was titled Feeling Exposed. Mary Jane seems to be having an Issa moment. If you guys watch Insecure, you know that the main character, Issa Rae, is always having these flashbacks. Well, not really flashbacks, but these scenes in her head where she's reacting the way that most of us wish we could react to things that happen to us, but it's all in her head. So they're gathering in the conference room for a meeting with Garrett, and so when Erin comes in the room, he pats Justin on the shoulder and tells Justin that he looks like he had a late night. So then Justin appears to wink at Cara, who was sitting across from him. And then Cara didn't take kindly to the gesture. So she comes across the table and yanks Justin up, by the collar. And everybody's like, oh my God. But then we realized, thankfully, that it was all in Mary Jane's mind. And it was just her guilty conscience playing on her. So Garrett has called them all in to welcome Danny Collins to the team. And he seems to be the only one happy that she's there because he is the only one that's in the room that's clapping. But then when he welcomes Cara back to the team, then everybody's like, yeah, giving her a round of applause. I'm thinking like, y'all are so dirty. So after the meeting, Cara confronts Mary Jane, about sleeping with Justin and how betrayed that she feels. But Mary Jane is so digmatized that Cara's words are falling on deaf ears, because at this moment Mary Jane is so far up Justin's behind that there is nothing that anybody can say to her at this point. So Mary Jane is scared that Cara is going to go and tell Garrett about her and Justin, so she fills Justin in, letting him know that Cara's really upset and she might stab them in the back and all this nonsense. I'm like, seriously, Mary Jane, like, Cara has been your ride or die since day one, and just because you around here being all sneaky and deceptive doesn't mean that Cara would do the same thing to you. And so as she's talking to Justin, Garrett calls them into the conference room. So they are nervous, thinking that he's calling them in there, because of Cara. So when they open the door, Cara is sitting next to Garrett at the table, and she like rocking back and forth in the chair, like, yeah, I got you, boo. But then, she doesn't say anything, and Mary Jane is like looking horrified. Then all the rest of the team comes in and they gather into the room. So the reason for the meeting was not for Cara to have, called Mary Jane out on her mess, not that she wouldn't deserve it, but it was because they had a guest coming on the show who was like the Martha Stewart of interior decorating, and I wrote her name down, Sue. I'll get to it. I can't remember, Susan something. But anyway, she had did a video surface of her going on like a homosexual rant where she was saying that, the Bible is against gay people and, just the typical, like she doesn't agree with the lifestyle. She don't think that gay people should have special privileges and all that stuff. So the team votes to can the story, which was to be covered by Danny. But Danny thinks that they should move forward with the interview and saying that what they're doing is censorship and it's going against religious freedoms and all of this stuff. So Danny argues her points, and to Mary Jane's dismay, Justin provides backup to support Danny's claims. So I don't know what's going on with Justin, but it was a lot going on. They had made this pact that they were going to always be in agreement with each other and, be a united front. But throughout the whole show, Justin, he was going on doing his thing like he normally did, and Mary Jane was being as argumentative and trying to be right as she always was. So Aaliyah, remember, is the girl from the PR team. So she's in the meeting and she takes Mary Jane's side and says, it will be a PR nightmare. And so Garrett decides to shelve the story for right now. And then the thing about Aaliyah, I don't know if she's trying to get on the comeuppance or what's going on, but she was all up Mary Jane's butt in this episode. So I don't know if she's trying to use Mary Jane to build her career or what's going on. So Niecy shows up, but Mary Jane can't leave to go spend the day with her. And Niecy in there, the guy said he was going to go and get Mary Jane for her. This girl starts stealing the peppermints, the candy, the potato chips. I was just like, really, Niecy, you going to come to your aunt's job and pilfer the doggone snacks? No shame whatsoever. So they need to come up, you know, with a replacement story. So Mary Jane can't leave, you know, to go show Niecy around or take her to the apartment. So she gives Niecy, you know, a list of tourist attractions that she can go to and spend the day, you know, until Mary Jane is free. So she goes off like, oh, no problem, you know, I got this. But as soon as she walked out that office, she went to see about that boy that she found on that dating app. So all it takes for Niecy, we learned last night, is a little attention and a rose from a street vendor, because they went on a stroll through the park and then they ended up back at the boy apartment. And I noticed that when they were at the park, you know, he asked Niecy, oh, you want me to take your picture? So he was taking all these pictures of her with the rose and everything sitting on the park bench. But he never said, well, let's take a selfie together. And Niecy never said, oh, let's take a picture together, you know, so I can have something to remember you by. So that was sign number one, that dude wasn't right. So Niecy came into the boy apartment just talking about the place and how small it was and it looked like a dump. She was taking pictures, sending them to her friend back in Atlanta. And I'm just like, really, Niecy, and you still live with your grandparents? Like, you've never been on your own before, and you're going to be putting this boy down and criticizing, you know, what he's done in his life. So the dude went over to the sink and was like taking off his shirt and everything. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. We found out why. But he was taking off his shirt and everything. And so Niecy over there taking pictures of him and sending them to her friend. Just like, she is so childish. So then he gets some water out the faucet, and it was in some mason jars. Now, mason jars are cute. They are, you know, kind of little fun things to have when you're having parties. But was he drinking out of mason jars because those were his regular glasses? I don't know. But he gave Niecy the water, and they talked for a few minutes. And, you know, he was telling her a little bit about himself. So next thing we know, he had Niecy in that bed with her legs all up, and he was grinding it out. I said, well, go ahead, Niecy, get your groove on, girl. But that was just a little bit too soon. So after she finishes getting her back blown out, she returns to Mary Jane's apartment. And then she in Mary Jane's apartment complaining about, you spending all this money on a place and you only have one bedroom, because Mary Jane told her she had to sleep on the sofa. And then she was just like talking about everything. And then Mary Jane's phone was laying on the coffee table and it started to ring or buzz or whatever. And Niecy just reached over like it was her doggone phone and picked it up, and it turned out to be Justin. So now she questioning Mary Jane about who on her phone. I'm thinking like, okay, well, somebody that ain't got no job or no real life, Niecy, you sure think that you got a lot to say about what people are doing. So it turned out that Justin was trying to FaceTime Mary Jane. So Mary Jane was like, oh, that's my, you know, that's my producer. And Niecy told, well, why is he FaceTiming you? I'm just like, look, girl, if you don't get on a plane and get your butt back to Atlanta, you'll get your feelings hurt up in here fooling with Mary Jane. So then the following day, you know, DC takes a little hot behind back to the guy's place, and then had sex and everything. And so she having that after sex sleep going on. So then she wakes up, and I think she was texting, Mary Jane must have texted her and said, you know, she was sorry that she had to leave out or whatever, and that they probably wouldn't be able to hang out. I can't remember what the texts were saying, but they were from Mary Jane. They were texting each other. So when she got through, she realized that the boy was painting. He was doing a painting of her, and she was like, oh my God, you know, what are you doing? And so she jumps all up, and he told her that he was an artist. And so she said, well, when you said you were an artist, I thought that meant that you were a rapper. I didn't know that you were a painter. And I was there saying to myself, that's a part of closing your legs and having a conversation with somebody, because he said artist, you immediately discounted him and said, oh, he just trying to be, you know, another wannabe rapper, but you still gave up the coochie. Now you find out the boy got real talent. He's an artist, you know, I think his rent was in exchange for the artwork or selling the artwork outside or something he was telling Niecy, but Niecy wasn't hearing that it wasn't good enough for her, you know, because her morals and her standards were so high, but you just flew to New York to have sex with a random dude you met on a dating app. So she finally got what she deserved, because it turned out that even though the boy was giving her compliments and telling her she was beautiful and sexy, he knew that Mary Jane was her aunt, and that Mary Jane was the anchor on the Good Day USA show. So what he wanted was for Niecy to introduce him to Mary Jane, so that he could get Mary Jane to like either buy some of his artwork or spotlight the artwork. But basically he was looking for the comeuppance, and he was going to use Niecy to do it. So back over at the Good Day USA studios, Cara makes a connect and suggests that they use the new Bond girl as the replacement segment for the Sandra Curtis story. So Garrett calls Mary Jane in, and she thinks that it's a great idea. And then Danny walks up, but she's still arguing that she thinks that the Sandra Curtis lady should come on, and that she thinks it'll really boost the ratings and it'll just be a great story. So then Garrett calls Justin over. And Justin, you know, he has more facts, he's done more research, and so he's steady supporting that they should bring the lady on. And he tells them that he found out that Diane Sawyer was trying to get an exclusive interview with the Curtis lady, so they really need to jump on this right now and be the first ones to talk to her, you know, since they already had her plan to be on the show. So Garrett decides to flip-flop and go with the story, but he takes Danny off the story and hands it to Mary Jane. So of course Danny is pissed about that. So Justin suggests that Cara produce the segment, you know, but Garrett says no, Cara has to do Consumer Reports. So they had Cara working on the story where they were testing whether or not the toilet paper companies are telling the truth when they say how many sheets of toilet paper it is on the roll. And I'm thinking like, y'all brought this girl back, made her senior producer, and then this is the kind of stories that y'all have her producing. So of course Cara got upset, you know, that Garrett wouldn't let her do the story. So that's just more tension between her and Mary Jane. But after that little encounter, you know, her and Mary Jane are talking again. So Cara threatens, you know, to tell Garrett about Mary Jane and Justin, but we know she would never do that. But who in that office would? Because they seem to think that they fooling everybody, but they are fooling no one but themselves. So Mary Jane and Justin, they have a meeting with Aaliyah to discuss strategy on how to get the numbers up for the story. And so Aaliyah said, leave it to her. You know, she can work her magic. And then Justin and Mary Jane was like, okay, the only condition is there can be no way that this, whatever you do, it can't come back to us and harm us. And so Aaliyah say, she got this under control. They ain't got nothing to worry about. So they get back to the office. And Garrett has some info that the Sandra Curtis lady was once in a lesbian relationship. And I'm like, okay, was that a true story, or did Aaliyah make this story up and put it out there on the internet? I'm just like, okay, Mary Jane, you might be treading on some dangerous waters fooling around with this Aaliyah girl. So they gonna put this fake story out here about this woman, and I'm just like, oh Lord. So Mary Jane was having second thoughts, and Justin talking about, you know, it's an ends to a means. And I'm thinking, y'all better be careful, because y'all just met this Aaliyah girl. Y'all don't know what her motives are for what she's doing. So then Garrett is so funny because, you know, it's the interviews taking place and him and Justin are in the control room, and, you know, Justin rooting for his girl and everything. And Garrett's expressions are like priceless, and he kind of like looking at Justin and then he getting all excited and everything. So he's sort of a follower. He's not really a leader. So they say Mary Jane did a great job, but the woman's views were not changed by the end of the interview. And if anything, when she started crying on the during the interview, it seems to me like that may have gained her some sympathy and maybe had brought some of her viewers back, because they said that some of her followers had already started defecting. And then she ended the interview and said, Jesus loves you. That if Mary Jane asked her if she could say anything, you know, to the people in the gay community or the gay people that may work on her staff, what would it be? And the lady looked at the camera and said, Jesus loves you. And I'm like, okay, Mary Jane, how was that a win for you? But I guess television, you know, works differently. So after the interview, you know, Erin makes a slick comment about Mary Jane, because Mary Jane had bent over to sign some papers. And Justin, you know, he gets to thinking about how juicy Mary Jane booty is also. Like, he didn't react. Like, man, you can't be talking about that girl like that. Or, no, I don't think she's that fine. You know, he just started smiling. You could tell he kind of like went away to one of their love sessions that they've had. And I'm just like, oh my God. And you know what, that reminds me, there was another scene where Justin was telling Mary Jane, you know, why don't I come over to your place tonight? Or why don't we go to your place and have dinner, and then, you know, we can be back in time for whatever they had to do. And I'm still saying, does Justin live like far away from the station? Because why he always got to be at Mary Jane's place? Why we ain't never seen Justin's place? So I be taking notes of these little slights that be going on. Mary Jane's going to mess around, and that blonde bimbo is going to take her job. And if she don't take her job, she's going to threaten her job in some kind of way, because the girl came up, you know, tell Mary Jane that she had did a good job on the interview. And then Mary Jane was just being very short and nasty to the girl. And I noticed that since she's become, you know, one of the top anchors, that Mary Jane is like really full of herself. I don't know if you guys have caught that or not. But anyway, she, you know, was being really mean to the girl. And then she told the girl, because the lady made a comment during the interview that Danny had made when they were in the staff meeting about black people in the community and how the black churches treat the gay people. And so she brought that up in the interview. So then Mary Jane accused Danny of having met with the lady and prepped the lady before the interview. And I'm just like, really, Mary Jane, if you really thought that, you know, why would you like keep talking down to this girl like she's nothing? Because at the end of the day, you're black and she's white. And all she got to do is go and tell Garrett and the top team something about you. And Garrett had already told you that your job ain't secure. So you really need to chill out. So then she goes up to Cara, and Cara, you know, was telling her that she did a good job. So Mary Jane thinking everything cool and they back in friends. And Cara like, slow your roll, girl, because I am still over you, and this latest blunder that you pulled is the last straw that has destroyed our friendship. So we'll see how long Cara stays mad at Mary Jane. Then the scene moves back to Cara's place. So y'all know when Cara get home, it's always Orlando and all of his friends up in the house. And Cara, I felt for you so bad when you realized that they had done ate your mofongo, because Saturday night I had some shrimp mofongo at this place called the Red Mesa Cantina, and it was so good that I didn't even eat it all at the restaurant because I wanted to save some for the next day. And all I could think is, I'm glad my daughter has moved out, because she was good for, you know, you be done save your food from the restaurant and put it in the kitchen, and then you go and think you about to heat up your food the next day, and she be done ate it all up. So I have had that experience of just savoring the taste of something that I'm going to heat up when I get home and somebody else done ate it. So Orlando and his homies, you know, they got to go. Cara says she's done with it. And then I was so happy when she asked the question, like, why are y'all always at my house? Because remember on last week's video, I asked that same question. So Orlando lets her know that the reason they're always at her house is because she has all that good food she be cooking for them. So Cara, my suggestion to you is, I got a friend named Dominique, and Dominique does these weekly meal plans, which on Sundays she cooks the meals for her family for the whole week, and then she freezes them, and you know, they've been in little individual containers. So I'm gonna give you Dominique's number so you can call her, and then you make some meal plans for Orlando over at Orlando's penthouse, and then him and his friends can be laying all over his furniture, dropping popcorn and pizza stains and beer cans all over the place, because they just being totally disrespectful of your home, girl. So after the friends leave, you know, Cara unloads on Orlando about, you know, Mary Jane's betrayal and that she's sleeping with Justin. And Orlando was like, what? You know, but it ain't his problem, so he ain't really thinking about it. But he's a really good boyfriend, because he listens to Cara, and, you know, he tries to help her, and he goes along with her little stunts and schemes that she be putting together. So now she wants Orlando to invite Garrett to a game and then hang out with him afterwards. And Orlando's like, no, I don't like hanging out with friends afterwards. But Cara lets him know, oh, you need to do this for me. And then she starts talking about, you know, him reminding him that he wants a career in broadcasting after his baseball career is over with. So eventually Orlando, he really loves Cara, so he agrees to go along with it. So, okay, this may not have been a good idea because Garrett gets white boy wasted after the baseball game, and he is just feeling himself, having a good time. He's the smallest person in the whole bar, but he's the loudest. So Orlando's cousin introduces him to this girl named Esther, and Esther got big boobs and even a bigger behind. So who knew that that was what Garrett liked? Like, he was into that. I never would have thought it. So Cara is back at the house, and so she decides to go on Orlando's social media, and she sees all these pictures that they're posting from the bar, and so she calls Orlando like, hold up. That's my boss. You got to get him up from out of there before something happens. And so while Orlando is distracted by Cara on the phone, Esther's boyfriend comes up and confronts Garrett. So Garrett done took off his shirt. Garrett looked like he was a 10-year-old boy, that little bird chest. So he done took off his shirt all up in the boy's face. Garrett like 5'5", the dude was like 6'5". And so Orlando's little telling Cara, everything's fine, everything is good, you ain't got nothing to worry about, he's having a good time. And then the next thing we know, dude punched Garrett in the face and laid him the F out. I was just like, oh my God, Cara, you're gonna lose your job again, girl. So Orlando realizes what's going on. He's like, oh my God, I gotta go. So he goes to see about Garrett, but then the next day, Cara goes in to see if Garrett is okay. And so he's sitting there with an ice bag up on his forehead. And so she's like, oh, I came to see about you. And then he, lets her know that that was the best time he had ever had. And thank you so much, for hooking him up. And he can't wait to hang out with Orlando again. So he thinks that him and Orlando friends now. Oh, and then we also find out that even after Esther's boyfriend beat him up, he still ended up taking Esther home. So we might see a new Garrett on the show going forward. So I'm thinking Cara is going to mess around and lose Orlando, and she keeps riding him about his posse because she calls him on the phone and talking about him. And so, they get to talking about, the whole, how now is the time for him to drop his friends and, build a relationship with Garrett and start thinking about his broadcasting career. And so, you can just tell by the little facial expressions that Orlando is like, dang, I accept you and your friends. Why can't you accept me and my friends? So then she made some comment about, his friends are just going to hold him back. And then the camera pans out in the room and the cousin lands on the sofa asleep. So I don't know if Orlando is going to take Cara's advice and get rid of the friends, or if he's going to get tired of her nagging and choose his friends over her. So that would be something interesting to watch. So, who knew that Niecy's real name was Nicole? I think that was the biggest shocker of the whole episode, because usually when a person's name is Niecy, it's short for, well, it's not even short for, but it's the nickname that you give people whose real name is Denise. But no, her name is Nicole. Well, Miss Nicole shows up at the station with the painting that the dude had did of her. And so she shares with Mary Jane what happened, and how the boy took advantage of her, and he really just wanted the introduction to Mary Jane. So while slipping in that little sad love story, she tells Mary Jane, so do you have $999 that you can give me for this painting? And Mary Jane looking at her like, girl, I'm going to give you some economic advice. This dude is extremely talented. He is extremely gifted. And if he makes the right moves, he can become very popular and very rich. So I'm going to need you to hold on to that painting just in case, because it can make you a lot of money. And then the conversation went to how, because Niecy was steady putting the boy down, so that Mary Jane was telling her, you got to find out what your passion is. And he may be broke right now, but at least he's following his passion. He's doing, what he needs to do to hopefully one day get that lucky break. And you need to find that thing within you that you're good at. And I thought that Niecy's passion was being a hairstylist. So I don't know what happened to that, because maybe if she had showed some promise and some commitment and dedication to doing that, then Mary Jane could have helped her open up her own hair salon by now. But she too busy chasing dick. So until she gets over that, she probably gonna be stuck where she's at. So while the two of them, were talking, Justin came in and told Mary Jane he needed to talk to her. So then, Mary Jane made the introduction, and then Niecy put it all together that Justin is the guy that Mary Jane cheated on Lee with. So she spills the beans and basically lets Mary Jane know that she was only there to get information because they had figured out, what was going on. Then Mary Jane was like, y'all knew I had cheated? Like, how did y'all know? But I don't think Niecy ever said that Lee had called and told the grandmother, or that the grandmother had called Lee and Lee spilled the beans. Because I don't even know if Niecy knows that that's what happened or know the full story or not. But anyway, she didn't let that part of the story get out. And I'm wondering if they're going to bring Lee back, because I haven't really missed Lee. Have y'all missed Lee? I don't know. I think Lee might be done. Justin gives Mary Jane the ratings from her interview with Sandra Curtis, but before they can celebrate, Garrett calls them in to let them know that he knows about their relationship. Now, I don't know if it was just me, but Mary Jane was quick to confirm that her and Justin are in a relationship. Like, she didn't even give Justin the opportunity. And this is what I'm saying about them not being on the same page and not being a united front. Because you think that they would have discussed, if anybody confronts us about this, we're going to tell them that it's not true. But Mary Jane just like blabbermouth, just let it all come out. And I'm just like, really, Mary Jane? So Garrett lets Justin know that, he's being removed as Mary Jane's senior producer and being reassigned to help some chick that's in Kansas City do this breaking story. And by the way, you're leaving this afternoon. So, Mary Jane being all argumentative and saying that, we haven't broken any rules. And Erin, he sleeps with everybody. And so Garrett lets her know that, she's not going to slander Erin's name with unfounded rumors that's been going around the office, and that she's really treading on thin ice because she still hasn't sold herself to the people upstairs. So she needs to chill out and shut the hell up. After the meeting, Mary Jane walks back to her office and she goes over to Cara. Is like, I need to see you in my office right now. So you just gonna talk to Cara like you was talking to Danny earlier in the show? Like, Mary Jane, you need to pull back and catch your life, girl. So she accuses Cara of telling Garrett about, her and Justin. And I'm like, girl, please stop. So now Cara, that was pure shade that you threw, because Cara let her know. Cara did a roll call. It was like, girl, I was there with Andre, I was there with David, I was there with Sheldon, I was there. Like, I done been there with all these Negroes that you done gave your all to and have given nothing to you in return. And I stood by you. So even though Cara was being all petty with it, I had to agree with it because Mary Jane needed to hear her. So when Cara was getting ready to leave, then Mary Jane gonna say, so are you saying that it wasn't you? And I'm just like, really, Mary Jane? She should like choke the crap out of you right now. So Cara lets her know that the problem with making enemies is that when you get stabbed in the back, you don't know who did it. So it turns out that it was Erin who ratted them out. So Erin told Justin that when he made the comment about Mary Jane's fat booty and wanting to tap that Justin had a poor poker face, and that he knew right then that him and Mary Jane was sleeping together. But he was going to be dead, damned, and in hell if they ran him up out of Good Day USA the way they did Rhonda. So, it's game on for you and Mary Jane. Like, y'all ain't going to, I'm not going out like a punk. So I was like, oh my God. So then Justin goes, before he leaves, because his car was downstairs, so he won't tell his baby goodbye. They couldn't hug and kiss or anything because all eyes was on them. So Justin left, and then the camera panned over to Cara, and Cara had to slid back from her desk. You know how when you work in the office with a bunch of cubicles, and when you want to talk to the person next to you, you slide all back, talk around the wall. But see, they don't have no walls. They just got the little short walls and the cubicles and everything. So Cara was sitting there in that chair. She had to slid back from her desk, and she was looking at Mary Jane like. And I guess she was going to sit there with that look on her face till Mary Jane came out that office and offered her an apology for accusing her for being the one that ratted them out. So that was it, guys. It was a pretty good show. Niecy need to take her butt on back to Atlanta where she belongs. And other than that, I enjoyed the episode. You know, let me know what you thought about the episode. Leave comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel. And please share, you know, on your social media platforms with your friends and family and other followers. And you can do all of that below. And I shall talk to you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.